Good morning and happy Tuesday to the Ungoverned Bulls of Captain Screw, the LFA family, McGroin Nation, coming to you live from the deep red state of Tennessee on rumble.com/LFA TV. Welcome to Ungoverned. Happy Tuesday to you. State of the Union Day. It is a State of the Union Day. It's going to be a wild night, I think, at the State of the Union. Looking a little dim here. Yeah, fix that up there a little bit. Brighten it up. State of the Union should be a very interesting night. I think the Democrats and folks are rumored that they're going to be some sort of, I don't know, maybe protest outside the Capitol while this is all going on regarding Epstein. I wouldn't be shocked. Anyway, we will, preview that towards the end of the show. Yes. By the way, and this happened very quickly, I'll be on, after we're done live here, I'll be on the Dan Bongino show as a guest, the second half of his show, so that's going to be really fun. So I hope to see you all there. That'll be cool. I think you'll enjoy it. So, and I know you will. You're going to love it. It's going to be great. So really cool to be there and obviously spread the word about what we're doing here on LFA TV over there in front of the Bongino Army, which is obviously a huge audience, and it's great. So you guys will love it. I think you'll love it. Let's take a look at what we got for you today. Mar-A-Lago, the gunman. We didn't talk about it much yesterday for the reason I was really focused on the hockey team. I'm still kind of not off cloud nine with the hockey team, but I'm still looking at how they're carrying themselves, and boy, are they doing everything the right way. This Jack Hughes, he could be absolutely nothing in the rest of his NHL career. Won't matter. This guy is a bona fide American legend at this point, and not even because of the goal, right? But just because of the way he is carrying himself. I don't know if you guys saw it. They were at a nightclub in Miami yesterday, and they led the whole place singing "God Bless the USA," and they led the whole place singing the national anthem. What's funny?
No, Sean did not call C-SPAN as John Barron.
That is correct.
That is the question in the chat.
The rumor has been circulating all weekend that was me. Folks, I'm better than that. By that, I mean I would call C-SPAN, but it would sound better than that. That's all I'm saying. I think it was some sort of AI. But by the way, I don't know how to call C-SPAN. I'm looking up. It's definitely something that I'm planning on doing now. It's definitely something I'm planning on. Somebody told me to do that years ago. It's like, you need to call C-SPAN as Trump. Well, I will. I'll work on that. I'm looking at. I don't know when the next time they do it. But anyway, new details are out about this gunman at Mar-A-Lago. Over the weekend, a lot of stuff was overshadowed. I mean, I can't believe we got to Monday, and yesterday I didn't see a word about the tariff ruling, which, as we said on Friday, Donald Trump was going to find ways around the Supreme Court ruling. So he didn't tell the Supreme Court, F you, but he basically said, okay, I can't do these tariffs under IEEPA. I'll do it under something else, right? Whether it's Section 122 or 301 or 302, whatever these other sections were. There were other statutes and other ways around imposing those tariffs. We didn't even talk about that yesterday. But I think it was beat to death over the weekend. People understand that it's not the end of the world. Now, again, does it hurt the administration? I mean, a little bit. But if we kind of anticipated that it was going to be a problem, and you look at Polymarket and these prediction markets, the traders that are in there, trading on the possibility of is the ruling going to go Trump's way or not, the consensus was they thought the Supreme Court was going to rule against them. These are just regular people betting on this and trading on these outcomes. Then you had to think the administration wargamed a plan B, right? And sat down and said, okay, if this doesn't go our way, what are we going to do? It's exactly what they did, and that's why it wasn't the end of the world. Again, is it a short-term, setback? Yes. So he got knocked back one step, but he took two steps forward. That's fine. But there was this gunman. What was it, overnight into Sunday? And then the hockey team wins the gold medal, and it was a huge deal. And then obviously you had the outrage addicts with, Cash Patel. He's not allowed to drink beer anymore now. Apparently can't do it. Can't do that. Not nice. But there's new details came out about this gunman that are, well, it's going to prove a point that I've been making, right? It's going to prove a point that I've been making. These details that came out about this gunman, apparently, it makes it look like he was radicalized by online propaganda. And you'll see what I mean. This may be a little old news, but because we didn't talk about it yesterday, we're gonna focus on it today. Obviously, State of the Union tonight. The men's hockey team is going to be attending. I saw some people upset that the women's hockey team declined the invitation to the State of the Union. I'm gonna play it completely straight with you guys. I don't think that was a political decision. Okay? I know our first thing is, oh, here they go. Here they go. These athletes suck, guys. Some of these girls are still in school, and they play for their college teams. All right? The men's team right now, all those players are NHL players. The NHL does not resume until tomorrow. Their teams can send charters to D.C. to pick up these players individually and fly them back. The women don't have that. The schools they play for, the teams they play for don't have that. Their excuse was prior academic commitments, meaning their school schedule, their team schedule. I'm telling you this. I'm trying to be honest. I don't believe that this was political for them. I don't think this was a political statement. I don't. They said they were honored to receive the invitation, but they couldn't make it. And again, that's because of what their professional and academic lives look like versus that of these men. Okay, these men play in the National Hockey League. They don't have a duty to report home to until Wednesday, until tomorrow. And the teams and the teams that they work for, they play for, have more resources to make that travel easier than dealing with an airport that's digging out from a historic snowstorm and these girls that got to go all over the country to where their schools and teams are playing. So I would say let's not dunk on them. I don't believe that the women made a political decision. You may disagree with me. That's fine. I don't think it was political. And until I get proof that it was political, I'm not going to accuse them of being political. That's all I'm going to say. These new details about the gunman are crazy, and it goes to, prove a point and address a point that we've been making probably over the last year plus. Please be careful what you read and what you believe online. The internet is a great place. The internet giveth and it taketh away. Okay? The internet gives us information. The problem with that is it is an unfettered, unencumbered, unimpeded fire hose of information. And when it's coming in rapid fire, it is hard to distill fact from fiction. And if you're following certain people who have a disregard for that process of figuring out what's real and what's not, when you get to a point where you're following some of these people and they're getting you really worked up and it's emotional, and I'll have more on this tomorrow and make sure you don't miss it because we're doing I'm not saying abandon them. I'm not saying boycott. I'm not saying cancel culture. I don't like those things. Okay. But take a step back and just, you do it yourself. Distill the truth from the maybe truths or the fluff out there. It's unhealthy, the amount of panic, the visceral emotional reactions. And I get emotional on the show. I scream. We have the freaking this. We got the seatbelt thing because of that, because I start flipping out. I always start flipping out without hitting the seatbelt sign. And so it's like you put the sign on too late. No, I get it. I get passionate. Sometimes I get worked up, right? About issues, but it's important to not let what you're reading on the internet dictate how you go about your life and your mental state. I know people who genuinely like went into, and it's okay to be prepared, by the way. Like if you're one of these people who has like a ton of canned food and all these emergency food supplies in your house, like fine, that's great. If and when a situation presents itself where that stuff is needed, you're going to be far and away ahead of everybody else. So, I mean, great. I'm not trying to shame you, but December of 2024, there were actually people who thought that there was a dirty bomb and a nuke that went missing in the United States because a rumor spread online that the drones that people were seeing over New Jersey, which were just prototypes being tested, were looking for a dirty bomb. And people, they started, every snowstorm, what do you see? Every snowstorm. Bread and milk, the supermarkets go empty. COVID, same deal. It's super dangerous, this virus. No more toilet paper. And that was all because of things you heard or all because of things you read online. I'm not saying you. I don't know if any of you guys did that crazy stuff with the toilet paper, right? The point of the matter is information online, and when you're reckless with information online, or if you're being fed a ton of information online, it's always good to take a second or two, take a step back, and just be able, and do this yourself, distill fact from fiction. If somebody's making a claim, somebody made a claim yesterday on X in my comments that said that Donald Trump eats babies. I said, well, that's an outrageous claim. Do you have evidence? And the person posted a thread of literally somebody with memes, And hey, some of the information in there may verify. For example, the word pizza might mean child in the Jeffrey Epstein emails, but it also might mean pizza. Okay? I'm not saying they didn't do anything wrong, but not every outrageous, extraordinary rumor that you see online is always the truth. I don't know how many times me personally, have been accused of giving hand signals. That stuff pisses me off like you wouldn't believe. I had my hands like this once in a picture I was sitting. They were like, you're in the Illuminati. I said, I am? No, I'm not. I don't even know where the meetings are. Right? So it's one of these things. Be careful. It's like I call it the WebMD crisis. If you have symptoms of any illness, you have symptoms of any disease or any condition, and you look it up on WebMD, by the end of you reaching, when you reach the end of whatever WebMD is saying, you're going to die. Every time. I used to get like really bad nosebleeds, like really bad. And I WebMD'd myself one time just to see how they get carried away and go from 0 to 60. And so I was, my nosebleeds used to last for like an hour, 45 minutes. WebMD, if your nosebleed lasts more than 15 minutes, seek medical attention immediately. Your life is in danger and you could die. I was like, huh? Freaking nose. You know how hard it is to bleed out to death from your nose? I mean, there's a lot of blood, but like, come on now. Right? So, yeah, you have a sore throat. Well, it could be you have strep throat. You could have a cold, but you could have a very, very aggressive form of cancer. It's like, whoa. Like, yes, that might be true. But it also might just be, I don't know, allergies. Okay? So, again, this goes back to the Mar-A-Lago Gunman story, which we're going to get to. There's a lot of predators online. I say predators, and I say that intentionally, right? Whether it's the 764 network or anything like that are preying on you and vulnerable people, preying on your emotions. They want to get you stirred up. If you're more emotional, you're more attached to the content. If you're more attached to the content, you're more likely to be a recurring customer, a revisiting viewer, etc., etc. It's like a drug. This is why I use the term outrage addict, right? Folks are addicted to outrage. These outrage addicts are selling you reasons to be outraged so that you become addicted to outrage so that you keep coming back to them for your daily dose of outrage. They're no different than drug dealers. Yeah, you may not be paying for it and doing anything illegal by consuming the content of Candace Owens, etc., etc. But you're still getting hooked on something that is really bad for you. We'll get to that Mar-A-Lago Gunman story. I've got an unpopular opinion, but an important take on the SAVE Act. Of course, I want it passed. And the DHS funding bill. Which one should come first? We'll get to that in a second. An NYU professor. This is news to me, guys and gals. Do you drink whole milk? Any whole milk fans out there? Yeah. If you drink whole milk, well, we'll get to it. Whole milk, the latest on their, lineup of things to take down for obscene reasons. And Gavin Newsom, by the way, AOC last week, Munich meltdown, disaster. And it's Gavin Newsom this week. Why am I a free speech absolutist? Even if I disagree with people like AOC and Gavin Newsom, why do I want them to talk? Because of what we're seeing. They're taking themselves out. AOC, what do you think about China and Taiwan? Well, the hypotenuse of the technical apparatus in the ensnarement of United States and global political affiliations with non-governmental organizations, with the paradox policies of past and previous and future administrations, with intergalactic and financial economic patterns being born. Shut up and tell me about China and Taiwan. AOC, she talked herself into the ground. Gavin Newsom, he talked himself into the ground. They're taking themselves out at this point. It's like the ones who do the least talking are probably the best set up for 2028. But the governor of Mississippi schooled Gavin Newsom, and I use that term purposefully, pun intended, over the discrepancies, the differences between both states' reading proficiency rates. Obviously, Gavin Newsom now. And did you hear what he said? I can't read because I have dyslexia. They're shaming me for a disability. This is what he's trying to do. Okay? And just like when Joe Biden had a stutter, right? He's not old. He has a stutter. It's a stutter. Guys, you're shaming a guy because he has a stutter. Okay. Joe Biden's never stuttered a day in his life. Then all of a sudden he's on an interview saying, I no more think of myself as being as old as I am than fly. And I'm supposed to not comment on that? Okay. Let's get to a word from our friends over at OFP Farms, and then we'll get into all the nitty gritty about what happened with the Mar-A-Lago gunman. OFP Farms has done it again. They are preparing to unveil their most exquisite box yet in honor of America's 250th birthday, and you can pre-order their amazing America 250 box right now and get 20% off of what is probably going to be their most amazing gift set yet. I love their inauguration box. Do I still have it? No, it's buried. Do I still? No, I don't. It's over there. The inauguration box is, it was one of my favorites. I showed it to you guys last week. It's one of the best. Great guy Gary in our chat made a video about it, the unboxing. And, I used it one morning. I was like, look, I'm not even going to do the read. Just trust great guy Gary. Look at this. It's amazing. The 250th anniversary of our country, the America 250 box is probably going to be amazing as well. You can pre-order that box, get 20% off by scanning the QR code down at the bottom right-hand portion of your screen at ofpfarms.com. ofpfarms.com. This beautiful box features their finest packaging, premium products, alongside custom designed elements, ensuring you will not find a more stunning box anywhere else to pre-order. You can scan the QR code that I just put up on your screen. You can rewind it and find it. Or go to ofpfarms.com right now. You can get 10% off if you don't want the box. You can get 10% off of your entire order with your code Shawn, SHAWN. Or you could pre-order the America 250 box. Get 20% off with promo code America250. America250. All right, 20% off of your pre-order with America 250. That's the code. Or you can do both. You could pre-order the America 250 box and you can use promo code Shawn. Get your stuff now if you are in need of the pina colada, getting caught in the rain, the best lip balm in the game right there. OFPfarms.com, OFPfarms.com, Oscar Foxtrot, PapaFarms.com. All right, let's get to this crazy story. This is it was kind of wild, right, to see this. It was kind of wild to see this come out about the Mar-A-Lago gunman. This is a story that kind of got buried, but it's a very important story because, again, this is either left-wing violence or woke right violence or whatever you want to say about it. They're basically walking hand in hand right now. This guy, Austin Tucker Martin, is the gunman that was shot and killed by Secret Service at Mar-A-Lago. And, guys, there are people, why didn't they shoot him in the leg? Dan Bongino explained this yesterday. Anybody who's been in law enforcement, I haven't, but I know a lot of folks who have been in law enforcement and are in law enforcement. This whole story with the gunman, and everyone likes to second guess cops. Why didn't they shoot him in the leg? Why did they kill him? Why are they shooting to kill? They're not shooting to kill. They're shooting to stop a threat. And in many cases, the easiest way to stop a threat is to neutralize or kill the threat. It's being reported that this guy who was carrying a gas can and a shotgun raised his weapon in the direction of the Secret Service agents. If you do that, you're going to die. And there's nothing wrong with Secret Service agents shooting at somebody who is raising their firearm at them. One of the, principal rules of firearm safety is what? Never point your weapon at something you don't intend to shoot. And then number 2 is, and maybe it's interchangeable, treat every single firearm as if it is hot. It is loaded. It is ready to go. Those are interchangeable. Maybe that one is probably, every gun is a loaded gun is probably rule number 1. Rule number 2, never point it. Or maybe it's rule 1 and 1A. Okay? You shoot him in the leg, he can still shoot back. He may actually be more likely to shoot back. He's not going to be like, you shot me in the leg. I don't want to defend myself. He's probably going to fire at you. This story, Austin Tucker Martin, the guy was apparently obsessed with the Epstein files. And again, is this case important? Yes. Have I ever said the Epstein case isn't important? No. Have I said there are issues that I care about more? Yeah, because there are. I care more about mass deportations than I do about the Epstein files. That does not mean I don't care about the Epstein. People are like, so you just don't care? No. When did I say I don't care? When did I ever say I don't care about the Epstein files? I've said I don't want to talk about it. I've said I don't want to cover it, endlessly. But there's no doubt about the fact that it is extremely important. Extremely important. But this is what happened to this young man, Austin Tucker Martin. He was gunned down by local Florida police and members of Secret Service after he brandished a shotgun in a shooting position on Trump's property. He was reported missing by his family after he vanished on Saturday evening. His mother, Melissa Martin, made a missing persons poster for him describing the silver Volkswagen that he was likely driving. Bizarre text messages Martin swapped with a coworker on February 15th, just 1 week before he apparently embarked on a one-way trip to Florida, were obtained by TMZ. Martin, seemingly unprompted, shared his thoughts on the Epstein files with his coworker. Quote, I don't know if you read up on the Epstein files or read up on the Epstein files, but evil is real and unmistakable. The best people like you and I can do is use what little influence we have. Tell other people about what you hear, about what you hear, about what you hear. See, this is my point. You could hear things that aren't true, but they sound true and they whip you up into an emotional frenzy and you go down this line of reasoning. Well, if it wasn't true, that person wouldn't have said it. Not true at all. The internet is where BS thrives. It says here, tell other people about what you hear about the Epstein files and what the government is doing about it. Raise awareness. He added. His coworker never replied to the text. On Sunday morning before Tucker's death was announced, the coworker texted, hey, where are you? The messages were sent in a secure RCS chat with the coworker. Tucker worked at the Pine Needles Lodge and Golf Club in North Carolina, just 15 miles from his hometown of Cameron, where he still lived with his parents, sources told the outlet. Other colleagues told the outlet that Martin was deeply disturbed by what he believed was a concerted government campaign to cover up the Epstein files so elites could continue, quote, getting away with it. There is no covering for pedophiles happening, folks. You can criticize the way the files were rolled out. You can criticize the Attorney General's handling of it. You can criticize the July 6th FBI memo, DOJ FBI joint memo. You can criticize the time that it took to release the files after the law was signed. You can criticize the amount of redactions. What you should not be doing is convincing people, radicalizing people, folks, that the Trump administration is engaged in a cover-up to protect pedophiles, because this is what happens. Again, I'm not telling you you're not allowed to have a different opinion than me, but to go from 0 to 60 like this to go from A to Z and skip B through Y, it doesn't make you informed. It doesn't make you righteous. It doesn't make you bold. It doesn't make you a truth seeker or a truth teller. It makes you reckless, and it has very bad consequences downstream. It's the same thing as when the left continues to call not just Trump, but his supporters Nazis and fascists and racists. If you keep doing that and you don't have the proof, right? You call me a Nazi. Where is the proof that I'm a Nazi? Well, you support Donald Trump. How does that make me a Nazi? Well, Donald Trump is a Nazi. Do you have the proof that Donald Trump is a Nazi? No, but he said something that sounds like something that Hitler may have said one point in time, and who cares about the context? So you support a guy who, he had a rally at Madison Square Garden, and so did the neo-Nazis in 1939 and all that. So by that logic, are the New York Knicks and the New York Rangers and Billy Joel, are they all Nazis too because they used Madison Square Garden for their events? Right? When you say things about a person that can elicit a very visceral, emotional reaction to that person, it's very dangerous. I'm not suggesting a crackdown on speech. I'm suggesting at the personal level, personal accountability, be careful with what you say and how you say it. People accused me of being a Nazi and a white supremacist and a racist and a fascist. And when I lived in New York, I got death threats in the mail. People visited my job. They left messages on the windshield. And here in Tennessee a year ago, we got swatted over things like that. They sent armed police officers to our home. We're not Nazis. Matter of fact, according to now most of the internet, we're too pro-Israel and pro-Jew. Which one is it? What I'm saying here is, this guy was radicalized. According to other sources, this Austin Martin, whatever his name is, was a Trump supporter who was radicalized by this propaganda. And he then believed that Donald Trump was covering for pedophiles, went to his home. Looks like he wanted to kill him. This is a normal behavior, and this is precisely what I'm trying to avoid. If you want to have a conversation about the Epstein files, about what certain words mean in the Epstein files, about who's implicated in the Epstein files, about what happened on Little St. James, aka Epstein Island, about the sweetheart deal, about how he died in jail, and you want to have a conversation and we want to go through the facts and you want to give me receipts and say, here's what I think this means and here's why, and I could look at that and say, I think it might mean this and here's why, and we agree to disagree. That's healthy. That's what this country's all about. It is the outrage addict podcast bro, and it's ironic because we're doing a podcast, grifter class that serves you nothing but rage bait slop to get you mad because it feels good. These people are drug dealers, virtual drug dealers. They are giving you something that makes you have a reaction. And when you have that reaction, you get mad about it. They're covering for pedophiles. I knew it. It feels good. You're hooked on that feeling because it gives you purpose. It gives you purpose. Your purpose now, when you wake up, is you're mad about something. You're pissed off about something. It makes you feel great. I finally found out what I'm living for. I'm living to be upset. Listen, I want transparency too. I want accountability too. But just because some guy or some gal cherry-picked some information in the Epstein files and said, see, this is what this means and this is what that means, and if you're not mad about it, you're a pedophile protector, is no different than what the left would do and say, see, George Floyd died because a cop kneeled on his neck. And if you're not mad about that, you're a racist. Cherry picking different points and creating your own narrative. And it radicalized people in 2020 and now. And this is going to keep happening until enough of us, the folks who are guided by these principles of finding truth, guided by the principles of facts first, emotions later. Not to say you can't be emotional or feel a certain way. You don't have to be cold. You don't have to be a robot. You know, you're all upset about something, all of a sudden. It's Epstein. I'm not saying you have to, go full stoic. But we are the ones that are guided by these principles of fact-finding, actual truth-seeking. And do we get things wrong? Yes. Nobody's perfect. Are there outrageous things that our government has done or that people in our government have been involved in that we don't know about? I'm sure. Do I want that information? I do. But am I going to allow myself to get whipped up into an emotional frenzy to the point where I'm going to show up at the home and residence of the personal home and residence of the President of the United States, Mar-a-Lago, right? Donald Trump's Florida home, with a shotgun and a gas can? That's not healthy. That's not a healthy reaction. Okay? What's happening online surrounding the Epstein files, again, important case. But there is a lot of emotional rage bait that is being served to a lot of people. This makes them feel like they now have a purpose. They have something to be mad about. They have something to fight. And in many cases, you're fighting something that isn't there. Or it is there, it's just not what you've been led to believe it actually is. There's something behind door number one, but it's not, it's like Al Capone's vault. You open the vault, there's nothing in the vault. You found the vault, great, but there's nothing in the vault. This isn't even that. There's something that went on with all this Epstein stuff, but people have been manipulated and hooked on this emotional drug. There are outrage addicts, there are outrage dealers. Treat it like a drug and you will not wind up like this guy. You want to get to the bottom of what happened in Epstein? That's fine. But running wild and accusing everybody who says, well, I'm focused on this right now. You must be a pedophile. You must just be okay with pedophile. No. That isn't helping anybody. As a matter of fact, it could get people hurt. All right. Quick break. I want to get to a word from our friends over at Silent. It's slnt.com, slnt.com/Sean. And then we're going to get to, a little bit of a feel good. We'll do like a little timeline cleanse because that first half was kind of heavy. Little timeline cleanse, little Jack Hughes in the airport yesterday doing what he does. And then we'll get into DHS funding and the SAVE Act. Again, this may be an unpopular take, but we're going to go through it and we'll have this conversation. All right, first, a word from our friends over at Silent, slnt.com/SHAWN. Let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, your phone, we all have one. It is a tracking device. It's a tracking device. It's tracking your location everywhere you go between government agencies, big tech, corporate data brokers, even those pesky cyber criminals. They're all fighting for a piece of your digital footprint. And they don't ask. They just go on and take it. That is precisely why Silent exists. Silent makes Faraday gear that blocks all wireless signals, including cellular, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, RFID, and near-field communications. No signal means no tracking, no remote access, no breadcrumbs. It's the same technology trusted by special operations teams around the world, used to block signals, avoid surveillance, and secure communications wherever the mission leads. And right now, it is available to you to protect your family, protect your freedom, and secure your digital footprint. All you got to do is drop your phone in a Silent Faraday sleeve, and it is off the grid, completely silent and invisible to the outside world. From their backpacks to their sleeves to their crossbodies, Silent's patented technology gives you control of your privacy. All you got to do is visit slnt.com/Sean to save 15% and get free shipping on qualifying orders. That is slnt.com/Sean. Protect your rights, secure your data, and stay one step ahead. I know everybody's waiting for me to say it, so we're going to say it. Silence the chaos and go silent today. That's slnt.com/Sean, slnt.com/SHAWN. All right. DHL, let me ask a question in live chat. First, we'll do Jack Hughes. I want to get your feedback on this. This is great. Jack Hughes and the U.S. hockey team, the men's hockey team, they showed up. They landed back in Miami yesterday at the airport. And there were a lot of interviews that took place there, media. But here is Jack Hughes, one of the interviews that he did. Again, this guy's he's handling this perfectly, and none of this seems forced. Check this out.
The best part is for, like I was saying this, the day of the gold medal, it's for all the guys that have come before us, and, you know, all the young kids that are going to come after us. So just like, you know, when I was a kid, I was growing up dreaming of being where I'm at now. And in 10 years, there's going to be another Austin Matthews. There's going to be another Matthew Tkachuk and another Quinn Hughes. So that's why we play, and we want to, you know, leave USA Hockey in a better place than it was when we first got there.
All right, there's nothing, by the way, Mo approves of Jack Hughes. You can't handle business any better. You can't handle business any better. All right? Let's see. I see somebody said, trying to keep it even keeled. Sean's right. We could share our thoughts, but when someone comes in and thinks they know all, you're not discussing, you're spewing. And I'm just going to sum it up this way. Ready?
They're fussing at me because I block people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
all.
That's
it's fine. That person's defending me. The person.
Yes, yeah. No, and I am.
Apparently, I blocked that one person one time for nothing, and I was like, well, there must have been something.
Must have been something. Look, if you're disrupting the show and you're, you know,
we have to keep order in the chat, or else it becomes miserable and no one wants to be in there.
Nobody wants to be
in there. Because of the losers that can't shut up. So if you say something stupid, there's a chance that you could get blocked. So maybe just don't say something stupid and you won't get blocked.
That's it.
It's really very simple.
It's very easy. Very easy. There's a difference between what you know and what you think you know. And it's okay to share what you think you know, as long as you share it under the, or within the frame of, I think I know something. Okay? Because then you're just sharing an opinion. I think this means that. I think X happened and then that caused Y. Not X happened and it caused Y and I know it because I did my research and you should too. Well, if you did your research, then provide your evidence. And if your evidence is not conclusive and can be easily debunked, then it's not good evidence. Example, it's wet outside. One person said it rained last night. Another person said somebody dumped a bucket of water on your grass. Okay? What am I more likely to believe? I'm more likely to believe that it rained. Why? Because everybody's driveway, everybody's lawn, everybody's cars are wet. But to attribute a motive to everything, it's not healthy either. And you wind up living paranoid, looking over your shoulder. My goodness, who's trying to get me today? And there's plenty of that's going on. What you think you know is different from what you know. As long as you share your opinion and you're clear that it's an opinion, I don't think anybody's going to have a problem. It's when you when you come into the conversation and you declare that your opinion is the truth and that there is no other plausible explanation and everything else gets dismissed, that's when the problem starts. Okay, question. I'm doing this on purpose. And it's not a bad thing. And I'm just prefacing all this. What do you think should pass first in the Senate? The DHS funding bill, right? Because there's a DHS shutdown going on right now. It's not funded. The appropriations bill is being held up. The DHS funding bill or the Save America Act. What do you believe should pass first? And I think I'm going to have the opposite answer of most of the chat, but I will explain why. What do you think should pass first? The SAVE Act or the DHS funding bill? Okay, I see some people saying the SAVE Act. A lot of people are saying the SAVE Act, right? Look at that. And the reason why I think a lot of people are saying the SAVE Act is because we're all election integrity purists, right? We want voter ID requirements, right? We want proof of citizenship. Yes, I agree. Let me explain to you, though, why I believe the DHS funding bill has to pass before the SAVE Act. Has to pass before the SAVE Act. Procedurally, the funding bill has to be passed first. Not because it's more important, but because of the order of things. Another question for the chat. What method do we want the Senate to use in order to get the SAVE Act passed? Which Senate rule do we want the Senate to use in order to get the SAVE Act passed? Which Senate rule do we want the Senate to employ and to use and to utilize in order to get the Save America Act passed? Which rule? Let's see if we have an answer in this chat. What do we want the Senate to? There it is. Jen Lee. L-E-Y? Is that what that is?
No, Jenny.
Jen L-E?
No, I-E.
Oh, it's I-E-Y. Okay. The talking filibuster. The talking filibuster. Okay. What happens when there is a talking filibuster? The answer is nothing happens, right? Except somebody is on the floor of the Senate talking. Nothing else gets done. You got TSA workers that are not being paid. You've got federal, FEMA employees. FEMA's going without funding right now. You just had a major historic Northeast blizzard. Who knows if FEMA's going to be needed up there in southern New England and New York City, on Long Island, and some of these places from Philly to Boston. Severe season is right around the corner, March coming into April, where you're going to start getting some really bad weather. If you have a talking filibuster because they're using it to essentially keep the SAVE Act from going to a vote, what's also happening, what the Democrats are also doing, is they're holding up DHS funding at the same time. Do you understand? If you put the SAVE Act first, and you bring the SAVE Act to the floor and you utilize the talking filibuster, the Democrats have less of an incentive to end their talking filibuster because they will be blocking two pieces of legislation at the same time while they're filibustering. Because it's not one of these things where, we didn't hit 50, let's move on to another thing. The talking filibuster is what is happening. It occupies the Senate. Nothing else happens while the talking filibuster is happening. That's my point. So you need to get that DHS funding bill passed first. Get Department of Homeland Security employees paid. Get those agencies funded. Get the entire department funded so that when you bring the SAVE Act to the floor, the only thing that they will be holding up is the Save America Act. And that's only if we go with the talking filibuster. But if we want the talking filibuster to be utilized to pass the Save America Act, we got to get the DHS funding bill passed first. Not necessarily because it's more important or it's a higher priority, but because if we bring the SAVE Act first and we go talking filibuster, the Democrats are now blocking two pieces of legislation. with one filibuster, and they are far less likely to let their filibuster die or to break their own filibuster. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the order of things here, it's about leverage. It's about leverage. Now, I'm not saying everyone's changing their opinion. This is just me procedurally why I believe DHS funding has to come first. Because if it doesn't come first, you're giving the Democrats a hell of a lot more leverage with the filibuster and a hell of a lot more firmer ground to stand on there. This is in the article at on Fox News. Mike Lee, who has led the charge in the Senate to build support around the Save America Act, hoped the bill would be on the floor as soon as the day after President Trump's State of the Union address, but he acknowledged that ending the partial shutdown would likely take precedent. Quote, that's the problem with taking a week-long recess when they've shut down not just a department, but an entire department, and a particularly big department. That's valuable time lost. As far as the objective of getting us to turn to this week shortly after we get back, that seems less possible in light of the fact that that happened. Senate Majority Leader John Thune guaranteed the voter ID legislation would get a vote. It's just a matter of when, given the uncertainty surrounding DHS. If the funding bill is passed first, the Democrats have one less thing to hold over the heads of Republicans. The Save America Act has to come after DHS funding because of the dynamic that we want to bring, okay? Because we want to go to the talking filibuster. Because the talking filibuster stops everything else in the Senate. So I would rather a talking filibuster be utilized to stop one piece of legislation than two. You get it? And that's why, again, I think the SAVE Act is the most important piece of legislation that we've been, looking at. But it's one of these things where we have to be careful with the order of how we do things because we don't want to give the Democrats too much ground and too much leverage because then everything goes up in smoke. Everything is up in smoke. All right. So filibuster. Talking filibuster for SAVE Act, yes, but the DHS funding bill has to come first. Problem is, Democrats know that too. But that could be the play here as to why it's not come to a vote yet. Maybe they want to bring about the talking filibuster. We'll see. All right. Quick break. And get a word from our friends over at goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. It's goldencrestmetals.com/LFA.
I'm sure by now you've heard that silver went up 160% last year, 2025. I bought this silver for $22 an ounce. It's now worth almost $100. And we and experts think that silver is going to get up to about $200 an ounce. Palladium and platinum were stuck at $900 an ounce for like over a year. Or in that area. Now they're up over $2,000. Gold is approaching $5,000 an ounce. If you have ever thought about putting some or all of your retirement or nest egg or savings or just buying bullion in precious metals, now's the time to do it. goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. That's goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. Go leave your name, your email, and your phone number. Schedule a time to talk to the folks over at Golden Crest Metals. Get your free gold guide today, and make sure you tune in on Saturdays at 1 p.m. for the Crest Report, where we dive deep into precious metals, why they're doing what they're doing, and where we expect them to go. It is like insider trading. Nancy Pelosi knows about that. We don't. It's just inside information. It's not even really that. It's called knowledge. Get yours today and get a part of gold, silver, palladium, and platinum and diversify your portfolio today. goldencrestmetals.com/LFA.
That's goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. Thank you, Jeremy, and Golden Crest being a part of the show. Appreciate it. Whole milk enthusiasts, I want you to know something. You're a whole milk enthusiast. You are a racist. A professor at NYU, New York University, is calling whole milk racist. That's the latest on the chopping block. Isn't that nice? Arthur Kaplan, a bioethics. What is bioethics? A bioethics professor at NYU criticized the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act, which President Trump just signed into law on January 14th. A professor at New York University is accusing the federal government's enforcement of whole milk in schools of being racist. I didn't see this one coming. Quote, Nazis. Look, I can't believe he said this, but I can. In a blog post, Kaplan claimed, this is the professor, that whole milk has been used as a symbol by white supremacists. Remember, like the hand, this? Dude means white power. That was a 4chan hoax. Doesn't mean anything. It means okay. Silent communication. When you're down, like diving, underwater, okay? That's what this means. It also, we were told in school, means a-hole. A-S-S, hole. But I usually use it to mean okay. All right? In a blog post, Kaplan, this professor at NYU, wrote that milk has been used as a symbol by white supremacists, whole milk. Quote, Nazis were enamored of whole milk as well, he wrote. I am suspicious. Milk drinking is political. Drinking whole white milk has played a big role in racist and far-right thinking. In America, drinking whole milk has for years been a part of alt-right, white nationalist messaging in tweets, memes, and videos. Guys, this is literally, I did a bit on this. When I did Donald Trump endorsed oxygen and I said, you know who else breathed there? Hitler. They're literally doing the bit. They're doing the bit. I feel like the Babylon Bee. They're doing the bit. Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? You know who else drank milk? Nazis. And it was whole milk, which means if you drink whole milk, for whatever reason, you're also a Nazi. Maybe it's just, I don't know, better for you? Quote, images of white people chugging milk are popular on racist sites. Quote, if you can't drink milk, you have to go back, he added. The comments drew immediate pushback. Of course they drew immediate pushback. He's literally saying that the byproduct of a cow, milk, whole milk, is a symbol of racism, and he'd rather have your children drink lower quality milk than high quality milk, whole milk, because somebody somewhere posted a meme about whole milk and that person was a bad guy. So now anybody else who drinks whole milk is also a bad guy. It's the same thing they tried to do with Donald Trump in Madison Square Garden. They were like, you know who else used Madison Square Garden in the 1930s? Nazis. And Donald Trump's doing that too, which makes him a Nazi. Okay, now do Billy Joel, the New York Knicks, the New York Rangers, anybody who's done a show at MSG, are they Nazis too? Of course not. Whole milk is now racist? Whole milk is now, if you drink whole milk, you're now what, a member of the Third Reich? This is how cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs these people are. Don't have whole milk with your Cocoa Puffs, by the way. Because not only will you be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but you'll also be, apparently, the next incarnation of Adolf Hitler. People are crazy. Drink your whole milk without shame, okay? Drink it without shame. All right. Finally. This is, there was this last night, or yesterday evening. Donald Trump said, wow, Gavin Newsom just dropped out of the presidential race. Folks, I believe Donald Trump is trolling. Which is fine. Troll. I have no problem. I don't think Gavin Newsom ever formally announced that he's in the race. He's trolling. Donald Trump is trolling. And I think I think that's funny. Did you see this from the Huffington Post? You see this from the Huffington Post? If waving the American flag or chanting USA turns you off right now, you're not alone. This was before our hockey team won. This is where they are, guys. Remember Mara Gay on what I think she was on MSNBC, and she was like, I was on Long Island last weekend, and I was disturbed by the amount of American flags that were flying off of pickup trucks. American flags, not Trump flags, American flags. It's this simple. These people hate our country. They hate our country. Chanting USA or waving the American flag or singing the national anthem is now considered controversial on the left. Controversial to sing the national anthem. It is cool to kneel. It is cool to burn the American flag. It is cool to stomp on the American flag. It is cool to protest singing the national anthem. That's cool. That's edgy. That's stunning. That's brave for the left. But if you sing it, you put your hand over your heart, you wave the American flag, you're proud to be American. Oh, well, if that turns you off, trust me, it's actually normal. This is where these people are. This is where these people are. And unfortunately, the outrage addicts who are on our side, who aren't really on our side, the outrage addicts who are on our side are essentially doing the same thing. Oh, yeah, the hockey team won. That's great. But Kash Patel chugged a beer and it looked really bad. And, we still need something to be mad about. We can't go 24 hours without being outraged. Okay. Whatever you say. Magma. Here we go. There it is. We got him at the very end. Jeremy Harrell is coming up next here on rumble.com/LFA TV. Rumble.com/LFA TV for the next couple hours here on Rumble. Of course, if you're listening on audio, search Ungoverned anywhere on your audio podcasting platform. Hit subscribe. It's completely free. It helps us fly up the charts. It's been really great over there on the audio side of things. And if you're listening on audio and don't know about the video product, that's rumble.com/LFA TV. Put that into your browser. Go follow. We're here every morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time. I'll be on with Dan Bongino in about a half hour. It'll be great. I'm sure you're going to love it. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. And stick around right here for Jeremy Harrell, who's coming up next. Again, rumble.com/LFA TV. As President Trump says, we will never give up. We will never give in. Whoa. And we will never, ever surrender. And if all else fails, we'll just become ungovernable. Thank you. God bless you. God bless this one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday. Enjoy the State of the Union, which will be carried live on LFA TV as well tonight. Enjoy the State of the Union. We'll be recapping that all tomorrow morning, as well as any other news that breaks. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and thank you for your attention to this matter. Jeremy Harrell is up next.